Who's got
All right, good evening. The time is now 6:02 p.m. Mr. Chairman and members of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, we do have a quorum. Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Tom. I would like to call to order the Parks and Rec Advisory Board meeting of Thursday, June 16th, and we'll call roll. Phil Cranmer.
Here.
Joey.
Here.
Jason.
Here.
Myself, and our newest member, Stephanie.
Here.
Awesome. Next item is Pledge of Allegiance.
One more.
Oops.
One more.
One more. And Allison is walking in on time. Welcome. You made it.
Thanks.
Okay. Next item, Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, yeah.
All rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. The next item on today's agenda, for those who may be watching or following along at home, is the approval of the March 17th meeting agenda. Happily provided by the staff.
That would be today's agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry, today's agenda. Sorry, I'm looking at the other one. Yeah, approval of today's meeting agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve today's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
A motion by Jason,
Second.
second by Phil. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Now we'll move on to minutes from the March 17th board meeting. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the March meeting.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 17th.
A motion by Jason,
Second.
second by Phil. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great.
I'll abstain.
Any public? Oh, I'm sorry. So one abstention. We'll make a note of that. I heard Stephanie say that. Public comment. Tom, do we have any public comment?
No, Mr. Chairman, I do not believe we have any.
Awesome.
No one here.
Before we roll into to today's committee reports and the rest of the agenda, I thought we would welcome Stephanie Butler to our board and allow her a moment to introduce herself to all of us. No stranger to some and no stranger to the city of Milton, but Stephanie, tell us.
Yep, absolutely.
Welcome to the Parks and Rec Board.
Thank you. It was bound to happen. So I've been at that podium lots of times on behalf of the NAFL. So just enjoyed my experience on Board of Zoning Appeals, Planning Commission, and I hope to bring all of my experience being the commissioner of the Football League here.
Awesome. So remind me, Stephanie, where are your kids now in their participation in
So I just
programs?
have one left at Cambridge High School. He's a rising junior, and he plays lacrosse.
Awesome. Great. Great. Well, welcome. We're glad to have you. That. Next item is committee reports. Who am I going to turn to? Tom or Thomas? You guys are going to give me some backfill on
What's that?
individual programming as we go through.
Yes, sure. So our liaison for Hopewell Baseball is no longer on the board. Thomas, can you provide any?
Sure.
Well,
Yes, Hopewell Baseball has summer programming going on right now, our Sandlot League, as well as multiple camps at Bell Memorial Park. Everything seems to be going great. Great numbers for baseball as usual. I believe their second camp of the summer is next week. Yeah, baseball is going great as usual.
Awesome. Good to hear. Is it too early to know how spring surveys?
It is too early for baseball to know how spring surveys have gone.
Okay, fair enough. Eagle sticks.
I don't know. Which one of us is doing that now?
I mean,
What I can just say, summer's gotten started. Tim said earlier today, I think he said he's going to reach out to you, Tom, about, he was asking some questions about what was Alpharetta and what was Milton. We were discussing, like he said, even my address, which is 3004, says Alpharetta. And so he was going to reach out to you about that. And I don't know if he had or not. And then really their summer is just gotten started. And I think there's some things that he has mentioned he's going to get with you, but nothing else to report.
If I'm about to jump down a rabbit hole, just tell me. The addressing from Milton and Alpharetta, what's the concern?
I think he was going to submit you numbers of what was in resident and non-resident. And I actually didn't know the answer of what zip codes were. I think is it just 30004 or?
Don't you do that?
The zip codes don't,
Right, because a lot of
You think?
30009 also is, I mean, Milton
Right.
goes to Milton schools.
So I guess he was working on those numbers and he was going to reach out to you.
It's all streets. by the way.
Right. I do know
It's all
for
streets.
It's all
their
streets.
first
Okay.
session of camp, they had the highest numbers they've ever had, and that was last week for the
Right.
Eagle Stakes
Wow.
camp. It was a great turnout.
Good.
The second session is next week, and I think they're almost full as well. It was good.
excellent.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you both for the update. Football. We going to you on that one, Thomas?
Sure, we can come back to me. I've spoke to the president Vaughn several times. I know they get started next month, about mid-month. I think they start on I can't remember the exact date, but they start on a Saturday and start rolling 5 days a week after that.
Great. Thank you. Halftime sports, basketball.
I haven't connected with Kim probably in 5-6 weeks, but I know the camps are up and running and going well. I don't know how their numbers are on that though.
Yeah, I haven't seen numbers yet either.
Seen what he's got there, but he was up and running, had no issues at that
Yeah,
time.
I haven't got numbers for camps yet, just because Kim allows players to jump from month to month.
Yes.
So I'll get with him towards the end of the month for June numbers, and then again in July. But from what I've heard, camp's going great. Tom, I can't pinpoint the name of the visitor that's coming.
Dale Ellis?
Yeah, Dale
Oh,
Ellis
sure.
has visited camp several times, so everyone's been very excited about that. I believe there's been some media attention surrounding that, and Kim continues to put on a great program, great camps.
Awesome. Good to hear. I have no contact with the swim team, but I know they're busy.
Yeah, they're busy as we speak.
Yeah.
Right now.
Tonight's
Right
a
now,
meet,
right now
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
So just to that, I'll just say this because I live in that neighborhood. They've done a great job putting those signs out. I don't know, Michelle might be the one in charge. So because it's a narrow street at the beginning, they're doing a much better job. And I think today was the very first one. So
today's
Yeah.
the first meet that
yeah, so I guess we
another
can,
team come in.
Yeah.
We've made a tremendous effort to try to boost the communication and education to the neighbors.
Yeah.
Around Milton City Park and Preserve, to make them aware of what's coming.
Mhm.
And, we have police presence there. We have a dedicated officer for the meet. And he'll bounce back and forth between the actual swim meet itself and then check out and make sure everyone's parking legally and, not blocking driveways and things like that, not parking on both sides of the street.
Yeah.
We're making an effort to, respect those neighbors over there.
well, and Michelle sends out something to the entire neighborhood at least a week or more ahead of time, letting everyone know as constant reminders.
The city did that as well.
Yeah.
No, and it's just a matter of learning the process. I mean, Crooked Creek's got their second meet of the year going on tonight, and it's just automatic of everybody parks in the right spot.
Yeah.
It stretches out for a long time. Signs are everywhere. So yeah, they'll learn. They've been doing it a long time. I don't have anything specific for tennis unless you guys have something to.
Tennis is continuing to thrive. Filling all their programs. Terry's also running multiple summer camps that are filling up this summer. But yeah, continuing to do great, filling up the courts as usual.
Yeah, awesome. Arts programming.
Yes.
Is that one?
I'll speak a little bit about arts. Tai Chi was our first class to host out of the new community center at Dinsmore Road, Milton Park and Preserve. So they're in their first session right now, hopeful to make enough participants for their second session coming up in the upcoming weeks. Dance has offered June, July, and August sessions at the community center at Dinsmore Road as well. Photography has been doing an excellent job. with their summer camps. They actually prefer to use Community Place here at City Hall because they enjoy taking photos around Crabapple. But their camps continue to fill up. And we're still pushing esports, our esports program. We're still pushing our music. And hopeful to get more registrations for some of those classes, but for the most part, most of our arts programs are doing very well right now.
Outstanding. Thanks, Thomas. Adult programming.
Thomas, I'm looking to you.
Adult. All right. So Rush Union is back at it right now. They have been displaced for I think just a season because their home is Cox Road, which we know is under construction right now. We'll provide an update later as far as those fields, but they are back at it this summer over at Bell Memorial Park. So they're in the middle of their summer season. They have both 7-versus-7 and an 11-versus-11 league, which didn't really lose many numbers with the move for Parks. So they're continuing to do great.
Do we still have cricket?
Cricket is not a city program, but cricket continues to utilize and rent from us and play over at Bell Memorial Park. So we have a great relationship with our local cricket folks. But yes, they continue to rent and they continue. We try to fit them in wherever they can, and they've been a great partner for us.
So they're on so you're renting to them on a episodic thing, like this week, next week, or they?
So yeah, we get a list of dates, and if it's applicable, we certainly help them out. They prefer Sunday mornings, which doesn't interfere with baseball at all, because baseball starts around 1 p.m. on Sundays, so they're in and out before our baseball program even hits the field. So
would there be, I didn't think of this before, would there be a benefit or a reason to put them in some kind of an agreement or provider agreement with the city to?
The issue there is they use our park as one of several that they run their league through. So, one of those teams might really only play 1 or 2 games at Bell.
Right.
They run at other facilities at other cities as well. Honestly, the rental thing works out great. There's it would be hard to find out how we collect on fees when they might have 500 people playing cricket, but only 20% of them or less really play at Bell.
Right. Okay.
So,
fair.
But yeah, I've thought about it.
Yeah.
I've thought about a way, how can we start a whole, but we just don't have the field space.
Well, and it gets me thinking about some of the requirements inside the provider agreements for other programming. We don't have them under contract then for the same kind of hold their feet to the fire, unless that's buried in the rental agreement that I just haven't looked at in a while.
There are some things in the rental agreement that you might be referring to, but everything that's in the program providers agreement is certainly not.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. Camp Joyful Souls.
Yes, Camp Joyful Souls, for those of you that don't know, is our summer camp for teens with special needs, ages 13 to 22. We are hosting them at Mill Springs Academy, who's a great partner with the city and with the Parks and Recreation Department. But I can't say enough good things about the leadership of our camp counselors and our camp manager and supervisor. They're doing an excellent job. We're actually on week 2 of week 7. We're taking 30 campers this year per week. Week 1, week 2, and week 3. I think the only week, if I'm not mistaken, that doesn't have 30 in it so far is week 7. But yeah, week 1 was great. Week 2 has been fantastic, and we're looking on ahead. So we're doing great.
That's awesome. Great. As we go through the committee reports, Tom, it makes me think about with the turnover in the staff, maybe next month we should revisit the liaison list and talk about the roles and make some changes perhaps.
That's not a bad idea.
Perhaps once we get the last spot.
Yeah. And once we get the other 7 seat filled, and we'll do that next month.
Okay. I'll make a note.
I don't see anything in unfinished business, so we can move to new business. Discussion on a heat guidance policy for programming. Tom.
That's interesting.
All right, Mr. Chairman. In light of a recent bill that was pushed through and ended up not occurring, but it was called the vessel bill. And it was an effort to battle, the heat issues we've had. And each park that had athletic programming that occurred in it would need to have a 150-gallon water tank that was clean with water in it and ice available to put in it in case there was an instance where someone overheated. You could dunk the individual in this bucket of water. It's a challenging effort to really execute. Who's going to be responsible for keeping that water clean every day? You're going to empty out 140 gallons of water and refill it every day or every couple of days, and you got to have ice available, and it's really hard to pull off. And so the Georgia Recreation and Parks Association and all the cities around have kind of banded together and say, well, maybe we just need to increase the education and come up with policy that curbs the occurrence of overheating altogether. And how do we just avoid it rather than being reactive to it? And well, if it happens, we're ready. Let's just not have it happen. And so I thought it'd be a good time to look at our current policy and maybe we kind of make it a little more robust. And Thomas, I failed to get thermometer in my office. So we have purchased a handheld wet bulb globe thermometer that takes into account the humidity in the air and gives you a real feel temperature of what the temperature is, exactly where you're standing. It's pretty cool because there's like very little humidity in this building, and it's a completely different temperature than when you go outside and you look at what Weather Channel says. It's pretty neat. So the idea here is, and what we're looking for from the Parks and Rec Advisory Board is a little feedback on how can we utilize this device, especially on turf, because it's easy to go to even if you go to weather.com and it says feels like this, right? Feels like 98, even though it's 92. But it's not, that doesn't take into account the additional degrees from the turf field and all that black crumb rubber that's under there. How do we keep those kids safe too? And we can't just go, well, it's usually 6 degrees more, right? So we're looking to try to, I think the goal today is just come up with a base guideline, not necessarily at this temperature. I think staff can figure out what the temperature, where we need to cancel, or maybe we need to have mandatory water breaks at a certain number, things like that. But how do we implement such a policy, right? We've communicated with all the programs. We've had discussions with them, at least the programs that use outdoors in the summer. And we'll share what we've gotten feedback on. But our challenge is how do we utilize it? It's not like we have some system in place where we can just post the temperature on a website and everyone just sees it, or we just email it out. Someone's got to go out there, stand on the field with the device and actually turn it on and record the temperature essentially. On most days, I think it's not too bad. I mean, we have staff at the park till 4:00 every day, Monday through Friday. So evenings we can get covered pretty easily, especially if it's already below the thresholds at 4, it's probably not going to rise above. But if you're looking at days where you're teetering or you're at the number where you're supposed to cancel at 4, the temperature is going to start dropping at some point. When can you get back on the field? Right? And that's where it gets tricky. And it's hard to ask the program provider, like, well, send someone there an hour early before your practice and have them check it. And if it's good, then you can practice. Kind of tough to ask for something like that. But
it's hard to assume that the weather is going to go down starting at 4, because this week we've been having temperatures that go up as the day goes on. So it's not true. What, where's GRPA sit on this issue of how to, I mean, everybody seems to agree that this is the right technology.
Yeah.
How do they recommend it be implemented?
It hasn't been discussed yet in any of the email chains that I've seen on this particular topic. I do have Alpharetta's heat policy in front of me here, and theirs is rather simple. It's a one-sentence policy and then a page and a half of description on the dangers of the heat.
Yeah.
And
Because
it's
I mean, this isn't new. We've had a thermometer read wet bulb in our contracts for years.
right, but
Nobody
we,
did
but we,
it.
but
But we
nobody
never
did
did
it,
it.
and we didn't have one to
Right.
even let
Right.
them use. But Alpharetta's policy is 95 degrees, or the heat index feels like 100 on one of those weather. It doesn't even specify which one. Well, I guess the question here, and just
that just says cancel,
cancel. Yeah,
95 degrees or
that is
above
correct. If the
whatever,
temperature is above 95 degrees or the heat index feels like temperature, which is the combination of temperature and relative humidity, is above 100, outdoor activities must be canceled or brought indoors.
It's easy to manage.
What is our policy?
Yeah.
Have one.
Our policy that is written in our program provider agreements is 92 degrees wet bulb, which today that would qualify.
Yeah, yeah.
But what sports would be impacted right now?
Football,
Lacrosse,
lacrosse,
baseball.
we have adult
softball.
soccer. Yeah,
But football hasn't started yet.
correct. But they will next month.
Yeah.
NAFL just had a camp this week that my little guy attended. I mean, that would have fallen under that. I will-
That was at
North Park.
North Park. Right.
Yeah. I will say between my kids this past week, we had that NAFL camp, we had a Milton softball camp, and then we had lacrosse practice, and all of the leadership was good about just sending out communication to the parents, make sure your children are hydrating, not just the morning of, the day before, just kind
Yeah,
of
Tim sent,
communicating the good, logical, things we can do to keep the kids safe.
yeah, who sent the email out? I don't know. Was it Jamie
For,
or Eagle
I think
Six?
it came from Tim,
Some-
well, either one. Yeah.
Someone sent out an email about what, pointing out parents, pay attention and make sure your kids have water. But on top of that, we've canceled practices and delay. And like tonight, practice was moved another half an hour.
They're
hour.
shorter. They're shortened.
Shorter. But, and I'm sure Allison has seen this. We've been doing this for so long. We've had coaches that don't give water and you have to remind them the kids need water.
Right, they got to stop and break.
Right. And then you've got really great coaches who will go, you know what, we're not going to run. We're just going to throw the ball. I mean, so, it really does come down to the coaches being educated who are out there. Cause sometimes your coaches are actually young people or have never coached before. And, they have good intentions. They just don't know.
Lack awareness.
Yeah.
Hearing that, those thoughts, having led this before, perhaps the provider agreement needs to be expanded on and not just be temperature based, yes, no, and lay out some really good recommendations on hydrate the day. If you're approaching, hydrate the day before,
Mhm.
drink the day of, mandatory breaks every 50, and we just put it in the agreement so the coach doesn't have an option. It's still not going to guarantee that the coach is going to do it, but if we see it or if a parent complains, we go back to the provider and go, hey, we told you in these conditions you have to behave like this.
Mhm.
And maybe it's just a little more prescriptive in the agreement as a place to
Yeah,
put the
and there
language.
could be a place like, have you ever seen Fulton County's cold weather
Yeah.
chart, right? So it kind of gives you the whole breakdown of if the temperature's this and it's dry and the temperature's this and it's wet, you can be outside for 45 minutes and then a 15-minute. And if it's this, it's 20 minutes and then you got to be inside for so long, like in your timing. So it could be just something of, hey, if this is the reading, it's, a water break every 25 minutes,
Mhm.
right? If this is the reading, the water break, they have to take a break and if this is the reading,
Get off.
shutting the field
Yeah.
down, right? Like, or something to that where,
You brought it up, Jason, in the context of cold. They have the same thing on the heat side in Fulton County. I mean, because maybe Fulton County's got language. written.
they may have the same thing. I don't,
Yeah.
we take it for the youth side. We just
Right.
use it in January.
Yep.
So whatever their policy is, we take the same one. So I don't, because I don't have anything in the summer, I
Mhm.
guess I've never
Right.
looked at it or asked for it. But I think that's a fair ask.
I think the contract is a good idea, certainly to embed it in there to hold them accountable. But I think on days and weeks where we know we're going to hit those temperatures, maybe an email reminder to our program providers that, hey, we're going to approach these thresholds, right? And just be aware of what the policy is. I mean, a contract, once you sign it, it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. They probably won't remember, but email reminders from city staff
Yeah.
put on their radar.
And I mean, I know we're in a much different place, but when I ran stuff up at Fulton or Forsyth County, they used to just send a text to the four of us.
Yeah.
Wet bulb reading is this today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And, kind of as a reminder, like, be careful, you got to take more breaks, whatever.
Yeah.
Or that may be something, again, not to put more
Right. And those are all
burden
di-
on you. I mean, but it would really just be 3 or 4 people, right?
right. And all these different layers of, the recommendations or requirements if it gets to a certain level is all things that we were going to include in this policy. I think the biggest ask was how do we track the temperatures if we've got this device here? Who's going to do it? And let's say it's over the temperature. It's whatever number we decide, and it's too hot to practice it for. You can't practice. So someone says, "Well, I'm practicing at 7:30 tonight." It's not going to be that temperature at 7:30. How do
Tom, I think
we can easily shut things down at 4:00,
Right.
but
I think it goes to who owns the D, who owns the decision. Are you going to take on the responsibility and accountability for enacting that policy, or are we leaving it to the program providers? I mean, that's a fundamental question.
I think the cancellation is on the city if
Yeah.
we're
I mean,
gonna
it's
if
like
it's gonna be our policy.
So in the old days, it was rain. And so before the city, we made the rain decision ourselves. And at 4:30, we had to make a decision whether the 5:30 practice was happening. The rain might have stopped at 4. The fields might have been wet. And to your exact same point, by 7:30, some fields might have been playable, but we shut the program down for the day.
Yeah.
Um,
At the end of the day, these are city programs, and we're protecting the safety of our participants in our city program.
in our facility. Yeah. So I could Triscapes, the last thing they do before they leave the park,
Yes,
give you the answer.
of course.
And then the cascade starts, yes or no, or warning.
yes.
But I think the downstream is 7:00. Well, it's unfortunate you might lose a practice and the temperature might be lower in the environment room. We don't have somebody to go out there and do the temperature. When there's a park employee,
Yeah.
when we have a
with
park
the current
employee who could be monitoring this every hour,
right.
then we could turn it back on. But similarly, families don't want the no practice is canceled, and then at 6:00 find out it's back on.
Yeah.
I mean, you're either canceling or you're not canceling. It's not it's a hard
You
decision.
guys just
But
want to hang out on the turf at Bell? Just check it constantly?
Yeah.
No.
somebody needs a better.
I even-
wet bulb that's automated. And then everything's fixed.
A small little mind even said, "Okay, how can I rig this thing to be on all the time?
I
And I'll
need
just
an
have a
engineer to
camera
get
that
on this
posts
quick.
that."
There's an
Like a-
opportunity right here.
Live feed.
Yeah.
Right in front of us.
Which
I
somebody
need
doesn't
an
make that?
automated wet bulb.
Don't you have a
I'm sure they.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to make one
Figure it out.
that's just planted in the.
I found one,
Oh, yeah.
and I've been searching and searching, and actually, it was when did I send you that? Yesterday or the day before? Yeah, I found
Is
a
that
company
right?
that seems to make a product kind of like what we're looking at here. So
But so, and you can just,
it's built for many various uses, but it seems like the way it's designed, it'll work for parks and recreation on the fields
Yeah.
too.
When our temps hit this, do we have or could we have park employees that just add like big bucket jugs of ice cold water and things or does that fall back on all the program providers? But I mean, could we have just a surplus so if these kids are getting they don't bring enough or they're not prepared or feeling a
Your
little.
sentence began with the park
woozy.
employee that we don't have at the park.
Okay,
Right
so I
now,
guess
don't
I
have one
need
of
to take
those.
Gatorade jugs over to the parks
It
when
really-
it's
I mean,
100 degrees.
It falls to the provider to
Okay.
stock up on some water perhaps and make
Right.
in the worst weather, make a waterman woman, of the day
Yeah.
and be
okay.
that person. But if there was a city employee managing the park until it closed,
Right.
everything else would be we wouldn't be talking about
Right,
this. It would
true.
all be managed.
This would be done. Yeah.
It wouldn't be a topic. We're stuck in this gap of no employee and how do we hands off take care of our participants at the same time
Or
take
what
care of our
about
facilities.
adding misters to those little structures that need to be repainted, or I think in the fall? Can we get like misters out there, like in between the fields?
You know, and at the same time, we're
Sounds more
trying
of
to
a
prepare for the
parent thing.
100-year
That sounds like a
flood. This
parent
is the
request,
one
not
summer.
not a player request.
I mean, maybe it could project onto the turf, cooling said turf. I'm kidding. I don't know.
Helicopters flying over the field.
Yes,
misters
or we
and-
could do that. We could do that.
This could also be the 100-year flood, and we're just planning for the worst couple of weeks of the summer that we'll never see for another decade, right? So it's hard to manage. I think my belief would be to, knowing the agreements as I know them, take them and tighten them up and give more direction in them. So at least you're putting it on the table that you as a provider need to be aware.
Right.
And then to the extent that we can proactively manage it daily with a 4 o'clock reading,
Okay.
might be the
That's good
best.
and that's why I'm here, because I don't want to put the program providers in a tough spot, you know?
Yeah.
And then
It's got to be
have
clear cut. It's
unmanageable-
got to be clear cut for them. You don't want, because Lord knows you don't want baseball saying we're on and lacrosse saying we're off. You know, that would, or vice versa. That would be the worst thing to happen.
Say it, but if one's on turf and one's on grass,
Yeah, you could have two different numbers.
That's perfectly a scenario that could happen
Yeah, that's true.
for real.
Right.
It really could.
You guys will have to figure out how to communicate, right? So then Triscape's got to take this device and walk on one field and walk on another, communicate to you, and then,
Potentially walk on both.
yeah, and then.
This could be the first time in history
field.
you have a program provider that wants grass over turf.
Oh my
I
God.
was just thinking that.
And-
Oh,
Hey, they give, you can see the argument.
Where's the-
Road- is Cox Road open?
Oh, we're good, actually.
I want an indoor building with turf.
you leave that grass in Cox?
Right.
Holes and turf the inside of it. Yeah. That's a good discussion though. Do you have enough to,
So what I gathered is 4 o'clock reading, bolster the program provider agreements, or I think what we'd end up doing is just creating an actual policy document that will tuck into the agreements next year, because they're now auto renewing.
Yep.
So we'll just have
it'd be a city policy.
another exhibit to the contract that we would just tuck in, have them agree to it.
So
which we can do.
It'd be a park policy. We'd have to take to council for approval. Because
I'd have to verify.
It becomes statute or something, or
Yeah.
to that extent, if it's
I'd have to verify if it would need to be on a council or not.
because I can see that the city would want to make sure that if we're going to have a heat issue, how to manage high heat and humidity, you can't just say it's for the people that are under contract. It would have to be for everybody that might be in a park. Mom and Dad want to go kick the kickball around on Cox Road because there's no programming, but we've shut down Bell's providers because of the wet bulb, and we got to
Well,
tell
I guess
those
we
people
can't,
to get off.
I don't think we closed the park. I think we just close it to or just shut down our participants. I don't
Yeah.
know if you can necessarily.
Yeah, because you're saying the participants
It's
are under,
facility.
it's under but the facilities are open to use at your own risk with everything.
Someone from the
right?
public can go stand
Go-
underneath the light pole during a thunderstorm too. I mean,
Yeah, like it's,
Yeah, a
Yes.
lot of.
Yeah.
I've seen crazier things. I've seen crazier things. Okay. So a good discussion. You'll bring back us some language or you want us to look at next month, and we'll go from there.
100%.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
You okay?
That made me laugh.
Item number 9, city staff reports and communications.
All right. First up, we got the Cox Road Athletic Complex. The way we're looking now, all the grass has been removed. The majority of the grading is done. They are starting to work on the drainage, the whole system underneath that catches the water and pushes it into the small little retention pond on the property. We are still on track for middle of August for getting the work complete at this time.
Here.
There's no snags in the pipeline right now, no pun intended, that we foresee to delay the project. I have not gotten any updates as to where the turf order is yet. But we're still several weeks away from having turf put down regardless. So yeah, we're looking good. We should have fall programming at Cox Road on turf.
Did I see a
Awesome.
bid for some demolition in the
Yes.
paper this week or last week?
We are going to be taking down the first building at Cox Road to open up more space for parking. That building has really, what happened was one of the previous owners seemed to have started a renovation and barely started and then stopped. So half the floors were ripped out. One of the bathrooms just had tile missing, and like it was in very much disrepair. And we really had no use for that building. We already have the other building that has the bathrooms, that has storage for equipment, and there's another room in there that's not even being used.
Great.
So
And
that-
there's
that-
going to be a huge parking issue there once we open it up.
Yeah.
So,
Wise.
even if it gets us 8 or 9 or 10 more spots, that's still 8 or 9 or 10 more spots that we're going to need. So we're going to knock the building down, assuming the bids come in budget.
The good building is the one that's by the short turf, the one that's previously turfed, right?
Yes.
That's good.
So that's all with Cox Road.
Okay, great.
The Milton City Park and Preserve. The last time we met, the building wasn't even open there. So we had the grand opening on Earth Day in April. Went great. The building, some of our programs already had started their programming out at other facilities. So we haven't had a ton of programming in there yet. We have had a couple rentals of the building. But it's beautiful if you haven't seen it yet. If you haven't walked inside, highly recommend, you can give me a call. I'll meet you out there. It's a great facility. It really would do well for big events too. If you got graduations or whatever.
Maybe we should plan a non-voting meeting to, as we've done in the past, and schedule an afternoon to go out
Sure.
there, or an even field trip and go out there.
I
Do
like
that.
field
Happy to
trips.
do that.
Yeah, because I couldn't get to
Get
the
your
open
paper
house. I'd
signed.
love to go see it. Maybe we should work on schedule and date and do a field trip.
I like it. Let's do it.
Then we can talk it up, socialize it.
Do they
and,
establish, do we have like set rental rates for the space?
Yes.
Awesome. I'll have to grab that from you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do. And then also at the facility, at that park, we have opened the trail. It's a beautiful trail. There's a couple areas where the heavy rains are kind of washing out the trail a little bit. So we've gotten with the contractor, and they're addressing some of those drainage issues, trying to redirect the water elsewhere. Or I'm not an expert in all that, but they're trying to fix the washout problems.
Mhm.
But it's a great walk. Don't go in the middle of the afternoon right now because you get stranded out there in the heat. It's hot, but it's a nice trail. It's away from the homes. Highly recommend a walk too once the weather cools down.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Also on that, the next item is the Milton City Pool. The pool is open. Passed inspection without any issues, which was great with the all the building work, and we had phone lines we had to relocate and whatnot. So, excuse me. Membership is looking good. The bathrooms in there are being heavily utilized by the pool patrons. It's definitely the one big thing that was the attractor this year, was getting rid of the restroom trailer that was
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
Did pricing change, or is it the same?
It's the same.
Same, $5.
$5 a day, and then $200 for a family of 4, and then $50 for
Right.
each person. On top of that, the swim team, as we mentioned earlier, is utilizing the pool in the mornings. We have senior swim 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, from 11 to 12, and then Saturdays we got a guard there an hour earlier to oversee the senior swim on Saturday mornings. So we'll monitor those senior swim numbers as the summer goes on and check the utilization rate of it.
Well, every sport that I'm involved in, the definition of senior seems to move quite greatly.
Well-
what qualifies for senior over there?
We've actually kind of changed. That's a good point. We've actually kind of changed it to be like an adult
Adult,
section.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The idea is that the adults can go and
Uninterrupted.
not uninterrupted by,
Kept.
kicking around, throwing things and whatnot.
Gotcha. Great.
Scott, you would qualify either way. You're good.
Listen, I'm going to play in a golf tournament next month, and I will be on the young team still. It's
Yeah.
young versus younger.
Nice.
Any further questions on
No.
Milton City Park and Preserve, pool, tennis, anything there? All right, next up, we've got Providence Park. I am thrilled to share that we've got one contract going on the next council meeting and other contract on hopefully the following meeting to have a restroom delivered and dropped at Providence Park, a permanent restroom.
Permanent. Yeah.
Dropped at Providence Park. We had a grant that we acquired or were awarded back in 2018 to build a restroom, and various bumps along the road have delayed that project. And I think we're in a good spot now. Council has given me the blessing to move forward with the contracts that we have received to have the restrooms put in.
What was the final cost?
About between 220 and 245, depending on, there's site work that has to be done ahead of time, and we've got some contingency built into the contract. So in case they hit something that's unforeseen, we don't have to go all the way back to council and ask for more money.
Right.
We can just get the work done and keep it moving. We got one last extension on the grant to the end of the year. I would probably be dusting up my resume before I go back to them and ask them for another extension. It's the last time I'm asking them for an extension. I did it 4 times. So the site work is between 125 and 140, or 120 and 145, and then the restroom itself is around 95,000.
Where's it going to go?
So when you pull in the park, the parking lot's on your right, and there's actually like a gate that blocks the rest of the driveway going back. And then there's the new white trail, the ADA asphalt trail.
Yeah.
It's going to be right on the left, right when you start walking down the ADA asphalt trail.
Nice.
It'll be on your left right there.
Yeah. The park looks great, by the way.
Thanks.
The asphalt, they did a great job.
Yep, for sure.
And the dock looks amazing.
That thing's a gem.
Yeah, it's nice.
It really is. So pleased to provide that update tonight. That was
That's
my
great.
one project that when I took over, I wasn't going to let that one go.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It has been a long time.
How about the newest park here? Anything to report on that? The one that, has that officially been turned over?
Which park are we talking about?
The one that's being built down there as part of the homes, right? They got that 5
Oh, yeah.
acres.
That park has been turned over to Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
It is open, and we're actually in the middle right now of coming up with a name for it.
Naming. It's on the website.
That's right. I think I
So-
saw that. That's
Yeah, name our
awesome.
park. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a nice little pocket. It's maybe pocket / neighborhood park.
Community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Connectivity, next to the neighborhood, down here to downtown.
Yep.
But yeah, it's open, and it should have a name probably next month. Last, we have the Parks and Recreation Department staffing update. I'm happy and sad to notify the board here that Emily Groth has moved over to Public Works. She had a great opportunity, environmental projects manager. So she moved up into a management role, and without a doubt will knock that out the park. I've been telling people you could throw her in a police uniform and about 4 days later she'll be an expert. So she'll be doing things like the sustainability and solid waste and recycling and all those projects. At the moment, she's going to keep the Junior Ranger program. That was like her first question. She was like, I took the job, and I'm like, I figured you would.
Mhm.
He's like, can I keep junior rangers? Like, yes,
Aw.
you may.
I like that.
So,
That's her baby.
yes.
Mhm.
So we're looking to fill her position as well as the community outreach manager position as well. We've had a couple interviews this week. And hopefully we get that filled here in the next 5 to 7 days. Should have that one filled, and then we'll start reviewing the coordinator positions here in the next week or two too. So we'll start getting back to full staff.
You're not having any trouble finding candidates with Sam leaving?
The HR,
Yeah.
I do not know.
No, man, you're not having, what I would have expected he would be helping you source candidates.
Oh, no. We've got some good candidates.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we do. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
But
Awesome. We hate to see her go, but I'm glad to have her
Yeah.
hold the junior rangers in her hand.
I'm glad she's still in the city.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
She's still employed here. That's, a good reflection on
Yeah,
good department as well. So
Yep. Awesome.
She still likes you.
what's that?
She still likes you guys. Now, did you ever, it's been a while since we've been in this room. So, were the Boy Scouts or somebody was going to do signage over trails over at Birmingham Park? Did that ever get done?
Girl Scouts.
Girl Scouts.
Oh yeah, the Girl Scouts. Yes, that did get done. It looks great.
Okay.
It really does.
Mhm.
And we also had some environmental signage put out at Providence Park since we last met. And that turned out really nice. I feel like I'm missing another project. We've got one potential Eagle Scout looking to put a park kiosk, like with glass where you can thumbtack things on it and everything, like a trailhead
Mm-hmm.
kiosk at Providence. He's putting the designs together now. So yeah, love utilizing those Boy Scouts. Now we just need to get the benches relocated out at Providence, the ones that are on the old trail, and get them back on the new trail. That's my next big thing.
Awesome.
At the passive parks anyway.
Yeah.
Stephanie, was that your text?
It was.
Now I know to add your contact.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom, for
That very energetic point was on camera too.
Yeah.
That should conclude the staff.
That
reports.
concludes the staff reports. Is there other business? I have none for us today. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Jason,
I'll second.
second by Stephanie. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you all. See you next month.